Good evening. It's Laura Donnelly here from Dancing with Ease, Body Brain Balance. And that's the name I give the work that I do. It's when you bring your mind and your body into a harmonious balance, which is not any static balance, but really a dynamic balance that is always fluctuating and changing depending on what's going on and how you're responding to what's going on. You have a lot more energy and you have a really good method for getting back to center when the events of your life pull you off center. So if you'd like more information about that, just pop a comment in the field or send me a message and we'll find a time to chat one-to-one. Today I want to talk about what happens when you stop. Now this is just an experiment and I would invite you all to participate in this experiment. And you can stop anything. And you can just see what happens. Observe what happens. It's a way to develop your observational skills. So you could try for a minute to stop breathing and see what happens. I can go a while without breathing. If you practice breathing in and out, well, I noticed this when I was swimming a lot, and we would practice swimming underwater and seeing how far we could go. And the more I practiced, the longer I could hold my breath, or the longer I could swim without needing to come to the surface for a new breath of air. I was able to increase my lung capacity just by practicing. And what I practiced doing was stopping breathing. But I practiced breathing deeply before I stopped breathing. And so that's just a simple one you can do. And an easy way to do this, and it probably something that you might enjoy if you're having to wear a mask a lot in your life, is to do several good breaths and then decide to do a slow in-breath, like on 4 counts, and to hold your breath for 4 counts, and then to exhale. And exhale completely and see how many counts it takes you to exhale completely. And then just pause. So you'd inhale, 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 and hold your breath for 4 counts. 2, 3, 4, and exhale, and see how long you can exhale. Exhale, 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 exhale. Push all the air out gently. Then pause. And keep pausing. And then breathe in and feel how it feels to let your lungs expand. And you don't breathe in, right? You don't go, no. You just, after you have emptied out your lungs and you pause, what happens is your lungs expand on their own and they just pull the air in. Just see what happens. Experiment with that. Hey, Sharon, it's great to see you. See, just, observe that and see what you discover. And if you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it or anything. That's just something to experiment with. And you can just really and truly stop doing anything. And I encourage you to practice with simple things like breathing we do all the time. You could, if you wanted to, you could pick a 10 or 15 minute window during which you would stop looking at your phone. And I did this by accident tonight. I went to town for dinner. I actually stopped looking at my phone for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. I didn't even mean to. This is one of the funny things. Hey, Omar. I forgot to take my phone. And so So then, without meaning to, I stopped myself from looking at my phone for 2.5 hours. And I didn't die. It was actually kind of fun. And I was having dinner with friends, and they have a little girl. She's about 1.5 years old, and she's just learning to do things for herself, to eat for herself, to use a spoon for ice cream. Oh, that was a mess. Goodness, that was a mess. And she discovered that she really, really loves French fries dipped in ranch dressing. That was also like covered everywhere. So I had fun, and I had a great time without my phone. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll play with this here and there. Now I like to have my phone with me because, and I'll post this in the comments when we're done, is I take pictures of the world around me. And earlier in the spring, I saw for the first time in my whole life, which is a long time, some wasps' nest made by these things called potter's wasps. And these little, they make a little tiny, where's my hand? Well, it's a 1/2 inch, however you want to do that. It's a tiny little mud nest for the baby wasp or the larva. And they stick a bug in there, and they stick the larva in there. And then when or the egg, and when the egg hatches, it gets to eat the bug. And then when it's big enough, it breaks out of the little clay pot, which it looks like a clay pot. It's made out of mud. So anyway, I saw some of those in the spring, and I put a post on Facebook because, it's nature. And my whole life is like the wonderful world of nature. So, but today I saw another one, and the potter's wasp had built a little nest inside of our a big trash can that we use to put leaves in and branches and dead flowers and things that we clean out from our yard. And so then, of course, I grab my phone and I take a picture of it because I want to post it on Facebook because, I don't know, I think these guys are the coolest little things. And, but most of the time that I was outside, I didn't have my phone. So there's like a whole hour that I was raking and pulling weeds and yard work. I was doing yard work. Who needs their phone while they're doing yard work? Nobody. So I had a phone stop day, which was kind of great. Then I had the breathing stopping, which I kind of enjoyed quite a bit. And I think it's important to remember that when we're wearing masks a lot, that it's important to make sure we take some time to restore our actual good breathing habits. Now, I have noticed, I had a friend, and he said he's feeling extra pressure in the back of his neck from wearing the mask because the thing goes back there and it goes, fills on his ears, and his chin goes forward. I have a friend who sings, and she says the masks that go here impede the function of the jaw, and which is really important in singing and all. So, and I noticed that I'm holding my head backwards because I just wear a scarf around my head because that's what I am. And it says cover your nose and mouth. So I put this scarf around my head, I cover my nose and my mouth. But then I try to hold my head still so that it doesn't come loose. None of these extra things are good for us. They just aren't good for us. So when we take off our mask, whatever kind of mask you choose to wear, it's good to stop the head holding patterns that you make to keep the mask on, or that you do in response to the mask. When I taught dancing, I always had my students take off a watch. Now, nobody hardly wears a watch anymore, but partly you take off your jewelry when you're studying ballet and stuff so that you don't scratch yourself or you don't scratch somebody you're working with in a partnering situation. But what I noticed is if I wore a watch on one hand, I did different stuff with the hand because I was always aware of the band of the watch. And so I think that the mask is the same thing. We're aware of the mask, and we feel the mask, and we are paying attention to the mask. That's just a really simple exhibit of excess tension above and beyond the normal. So you can, when you stop wearing your mask, you can let your body reset and rebalance, which is pretty good for you. What are other things you could practice stopping? You could stop looking at your computer screen. Now, it is actually, a lot of people are on Zoom a whole lot during this time or on the computer. And you can get eye strain from always looking at something that's the same distance from you. Or if you have a job like data entry, or you write a lot on the computer, you spend a lot of time in front of the screen, it's really, really good for you. Even if you're just sitting there, if you just, I'm going to do this, like look up, away, and focus on something far away from the computer screen, and then bring your eyes back. So what you're doing is stopping the near distance focus by creating a far distance focus, so that you stop one thing and you do another thing. And that change is really good for your eyeballs. And it helps to relieve some of the stress of staring at the computer screen a lot. So I would love to hear if you think of some things to play with that you would stop doing, what you play with in your adventures in stopping, and what you discover. Some of the things, one of the main things that I talk about with body brain balance is that, like, if you're tensing and you're getting tenser and more tense and more tense, and saying, it's my jaw tense up. And if I just stop squeezing, everything in my system stops tensing. So when I stop tensing, I actually allow some ease in my system and some ease in my mind. So that's, for me, a beautiful experiment. And you can play with that and see what you discover. Thinking. Do you have a habitual thought that you think? Now, again, this is about awareness, because you want to be aware of something that you want to stop. And then you just stop doing it. So the thing that you do is like a habit. And when you pause, the habit can't start. Or even if the habit has started and you decide to pause or stop, it can't keep going. So if I have a thing, if I'm late, I need to get somewhere by a certain time, and I didn't budget my time well, and I'm late. And I say to myself over and over, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. This does not get me where I'm going any faster. Not at all. Zero. It just agitates my system so that when I get there, I arrive with a different kind of energy. So if I notice I'm doing something like that, some kind of a habitual thought, I just stop and see what happens. Because probably what, for me, that I'm late, I'm late, I'm late thing, that starts to cause extra tension in my system. And tension anywhere makes tension everywhere. And so one of my favorite mottos is ease anywhere is ease everywhere. And awareness, and then the ability to pause or stop or interrupt what you've become aware of, is the first step in body brain balance. So I hope this was interesting. And if it was, and you think it's helpful, please share with somebody you think would enjoy it. And if you would like more information about this, send me a message, personal message. I'd be happy to talk to you more about body brain balance and how it can fit into your life and make things just flow much better. Today, did I tell you today was 163? Today was 163 of strange and interesting times. I think I forgot to say that. Oh well. Tomorrow will be day 164. And then my friend Victoria Day is going to come and talk on Monday for the healing path about the healing that happens when you are embodied, when you practice awareness of an embodied state. So, what are you good griefing, Sharon? That it's day 163? Is that a good grief day? It is pretty funny. 163 days. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow.